Hey guys, it's Nate, aka The Foot Accountant. Welcome back to the channel. Right now, everyone's talking about cheap beasts and starter squads as we get closer to FC26, but there's a lot of these cards that we should not buy at the start of our Ultimate Teams this year. We'll talk about why that's the case and begin some of our early game FC26 market planning today. There's still a lot that we don't know yet about FC26 content, and hopefully we'll learn that soon, but there's some general market practices that we're going to start covering on the channel here as we lead into the game, and this is one of the important ones today. If you guys are excited for it, drop a thumbs up, and of course subscribe if you are new. Now, a lot of Twitter, a lot of what we're even thinking about, seeing the databases, looking at these cards and the ratings, is this. We want to build our starter teams, those overpowered cheap beasts, those cards we think we can afford on a lower budget at the beginning of the game. That's what we're starting to piece together. You're seeing tweets like this. You're seeing a lot of posts like this that are showing some good players with good stats, good play styles, and hopefully a low price. But I got 3 tips to help you play smarter this year with your coins, because saving your coins and not losing a lot of coins in the early stages of the year sets you up for so much success later on in the year when paid evos start to be a lot more common, when bigger and better SBCs and stuff like that start to be more common. The early game is actually very, very crucial. Now, tip number 1, we're talking about cards you do not want to buy in FC26 would be, do not buy Premier League. Okay, guys, Premier League, of course, it's the most fun league, the most well-known league, the biggest league in the world, but they're historically the most expensive cards, obviously. And why would you go for somebody who's in the Premier League when you have somebody in other leagues that has the exact same stats in the early game stages? I'm talking the first couple of weeks. That's all. If you want to play with Mickey Van de Ven, I want you to use him. If you want to play with Murillo, I want you to use those cards, right? But I don't want you to overpay for them right away when their prices drop in 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're left stuck with a loss of coins when you could have bought somebody who has similar stats that would be very much more affordable player in the first place. They would be about the same, and then you can use your other coins to go and trade, to make investments and build up to a bigger and better card of that player that you want to use. Now, the reason I used Mickey Van de Ven here and this Ibanez card as examples is, take a look at Mickey Van de Ven last year at the beginning of FC25. Obviously super hyped with his pace. This year, he's going to be even more hyped. He was 40,000 coins last year, 40 to 50K at the start. You see this spike here. It's because he went out of packs, I believe, for a team of the week. I think that is why. But also, he just had a whole bunch of hype as well. He's going to have so much hype this year. He's going to be even more expensive, in my opinion. But you take a look at this card with 88 pace, 83 defending, and 81 physical, and you compare it to Roger Ibanez, who has only 85 pace, but similar defense and physical, a little bit lower in the dribbling. He's only 5,000 coins. If you buy this card, even at his peak price for 5,000 coins, you're only going to lose 2,000 coins or 3,000 coins max on that card if you hold him for a couple of days or even like a couple of weeks. With this Mickey Van de Ven, you bought him for 50, 60K. You could end up selling him for 20,000 coins a couple weeks later. So make sure as you're building out your starter teams that there's not that much Premier League in it, because it is always expensive at the start of the game. And enjoy the early game where you get to use some of these players that you probably won't for the rest of the year unless you're going to evolve them. There's some great budget beast center backs out there, true cheap beasts like this picture shows here. Cossonu, he's going to be dirt cheap. Diamonde from Liga Portugal, he's going to be very cheap. Davinson Sanchez, he might be a little bit kind of like 5,000-6,000 coins. Ibanez may even be 10K with some good Saudi League links this year, but that's a lot less of a price to pay than a card like Mickey Van de Ven. Even this Murillo card, a lot of people are excited for him from Nottingham Forest. He might end up being like a 20, 25,000 coin card, whereas again, those stats on a very similar player, you can get for a lot cheaper. I bet Murillo is cheaper than Davinson Sanchez, and in my opinion, Davinson Sanchez clears him in terms of the stats, and Galatasaray does have some pretty good links that you could combine. Now, the Premier League will have some cheap players. Guys, Prem right backs for the last couple of years, since basically Kyle Walker has gotten a lot of downgrades, have been pretty cheap. Last year, I think the most expensive Prem right back was Diogo Dalot, and he got a bit of a downgrade, I believe, this year. He's only 79 rated. He's still going to be a very popular right back to start the game. But Pedro Porro was actually the most used gold right back last year. He got a pace downgrade this year, so I doubt that's the case this year. Frimpong maybe gets used a bit, but low physical, low defending for a right back, maybe he's not the best. But most of these cards are going to be pretty cheap. So if you're going to start to build out some Prim links, you could look for a right back that may not be an insane crazy card, but they're going to be probably less than 10,000 coins for most of those, which in my opinion is pretty cheap. Now, tip number 2 when it comes to cards you do not want to buy at the start of FC26. Guys, you got to know the hype cards, the cards that the community is hyping, those starter beasts, and even some of those mid-level beasts that you're going to be upgrading to after you get your first striker. You get that second striker, you have your eyes on that card. Some of those cards, especially if they're Premier League, but just the ones that the community is hyping up the most because their stats look so good, those are going to end up being overvalued and have a very far fall from their prices where they peak in the first couple weeks of the game. Now, this Omar Marmoush is a disgusting card. This is one that we saw early as an 84 rated, and I was like, guys, this is going to be a crazy card. Now seeing his stats, he's insane. There's not very many other 85 or 86 rated cards in the game that has stats as good as his, but there's a reason that he's going to be expensive this year, and that's going to be because Manchester City, how well he did last year, how good and popular he was in game, and these stats. I wouldn't be surprised if this card is 75 to 100,000 coins, maybe even a little bit more than that. I don't think I'm quite getting Ben Yedder vibes from this card, but like kind of. How tall is Marmoush? He's kind of short. Okay, he's not as short as Ben Yedder. He's 6 foot tall. Anyways, that is a very, very good card. A lot of people are hyped on him. You take a look at like the popular players list on some of these sites, and when especially Footbin gets all the cards, you're going to see a lot of people searching up certain cards. He's always up here near the top. Now, if that card's 75 to 100K, you look at this Clara Mateo card who has very similar stats as an 85 rated. I'm seeing a card here who's probably half the price, maybe less than half the price of that card. This probably is 30,000, 25,000 coins for this card with more and better play styles. Maybe not as great of stats in a couple of areas, but arguably comparable and going to be really, really good for the price. That's one way you can save your coins from spending big on a very hyped card. Go for an under the radar card that has similar stats. There's a lot of options out there. This guy is being so hyped. He's going to be probably like 7,000, 8,000 coins, maybe 10K maximum straight away at the start of FC26, like during the web app and during the first day of the Ultimate Edition early access release. But then after that, this guy's going to be out of teams within a couple of days, because what's the most popular place to upgrade your team right away? You're going to want to upgrade your attack, right? You're going to want to use a new striker who's got better stats, better shooting, better passing, specifically for a card like this, maybe 4-4 instead of 4-3. This card is going to start off very high as people build their starter squads, and that's because he's one of the most hyped starter squad players that we have right now. You're going to not want to buy him, and if you do pack him, take the advantage of selling this card for whatever price he is in the first couple of days, not even weeks. First couple of days, this card's going to be inflated in price, and sell that card. Another one here, as I take a look at like a starter team that I'm seeing posted on Twitter, Ekitike, man. Ekitike is a 83 rated striker that looks good. Does he look absolutely insane though, and like crazy different to a lot of other 83 rated strikers that are in the game though? You know what I'm saying? He's got 86 pace, 85 shooting, 69 passing is not good. 78 shooting is not even that great, but it's the transfer. It's the hype that he's now a Liverpool player. People are going to want to evolve him as soon as they can, which may not be for a couple of weeks. But at first, people are just going to want to use this card, and that's going to make his price go up, and that's going to make him more expensive. It kind of adds like 10 to 15, 20,000 coins to this card's price just because it's a new transfer to Liverpool, the start of the season that he's having. I understand you probably want to use a card like this, but if you just delay yourself using that player for like a week or for 2 weeks, the amount of coins you're going to save yourself is going to be incredible. So that's one of the other tips I wanted to give you guys today is it matters. Delay that fun just a little bit so that you can have more coins in the long run. You'll still get to use that card that you actually want to use. Now, tip number 3 is a general tip that we talk about every single year. And as you guys watch me run my Ultimate Team account this year, like we do every year, we're going to be as untradable as possible, right? FC25 was a terrible year for holding on to cards, and this just really reinforced the fact that you did not want to buy cards and then play with them for a couple of weeks and then check the market, because their price would have halved in value. I mean, take a look here. On Tuesday, October 8th, Doku, as an 80 rated card with the speed boost meta still being out there in existence, was 17,000 coins. Literally 10 days later, how much is he? 4K. Even back here, 30K. I think he was out of packs potentially for an inform as well. I think this was a Team of the Week 2 inform. Team of the Week 1 or 2. It was somewhere in there for Doku. But, like, that's a hype card who had a very meta rapid plus playstyle plus, but still then you see people move on from this card super quick. And if you had this card tradable, you got absolutely cooked. So being untradable is absolutely the way to go. Even for a harmless card like this, you think, oh, I'm going to spend 10, 15K on this Daniel Malin. Well, you know what? 8 days later, 9 days later, after you get on the game, he's now down to like 5K. He's 1,000 coins a couple days later. So be as untradable as possible just to save yourself that headache and that stress of trying to check the market. But once again, hopefully with the power curve being slower, as EA continue to say, hopefully players retain their value a lot better this year. That's the fingers crossed hope for the market this year. Hopefully it's a better and more fun market than we've had in a long time, but still that makes me want to keep more of my coins for trading in that aspect then, and then maybe use some of the more comparable players to what, you know, a Marmouche would be, or to maybe what an Ekitike would be, just from other leagues. Like this Ajibade card last year, she was so hyped. A lot of people used her card. She was 5,000 coins. This year, this Rutler card looks really crazy. Maybe another Marmouche replacement. Center mid position in Cam is kind of interesting for this card. She has decent passing, good shooting, good dribbling, great pace, interesting play styles. You got the finesse, the long ball, the quick step, the first touch, the whipped pass, and the anticipate. Anticipate on a striker slash center attacking mid. Maybe that'll end up being kind of overpowered. Who knows? She also has false 9++ as a striker. So very interesting here. She's also 5'4", so her left stick dribbling you would think would feel pretty good. 86 reactions, which we know is crucial now to the success of finesse shots and probably a lot of the other shot types that are in the game. After we saw the code at EA this summer, that was such an eye-opening experience there. I'm going to definitely prioritize reactions for my front three specifically, and then especially in the midfield as well. That'll be important, but 100% for the front three. Make sure you remember that stat. So, guys, the cards you do want to buy, let's kind of flip the script here, right? We're talking about cards you don't want to buy. Cards you do want to buy, something like this, something that's not going to be overpriced from the beginning, like Ajibade, 5K. If you lose 5K on a card, not that big of a deal. I just want to save you guys the opportunity, or save you guys the stress of buying a card for like 50K, seeing them drop to 20K within a week or two. Be like, frick, I didn't know this was going to happen. Well, now you do. Dumornay, another cheap beast. This year, she's not going to be as cheap. She's a lot higher rated this year for sure. But what you do want to buy, apart from those cheap cards, replacements for the popular named Prem players, you want to buy some of the cards that can appreciate in value. We're going to talk a lot about this as we head into the year, of course, still as well. Cards that you could be trading towards, cards that you could buy and actually hold on to, the safer investments. Players like an Icon or a Hero. You're like, Nate, I'm not going to get 500K. That's okay. You don't have to, because there's going to be a lot cheaper cards in this that you can invest in. Team of the Week cards. Like last year, there were some great Team of the Week investments. Adeyemi was probably one of the best Team of the Week investments, and he was under 100,000 coins, I believe. You could have bought this card for your team and watched him go from like 80, I think it was 80K. Was he lower than that? Yeah, 80,000 coins for this Adeyemi. He went all the way up to 150K within 2 weeks' time. Like, not even 2 weeks' time. That's a crazy rise, right? Partially it was because of Evos, partially because it's pace, it's Adeyemi, and he had the quick step plus for the sprint boost there. But there's a lot of these things that we try to spot and to shout as things are happening on the market in the game. But that's one thing to kind of mention, to look at as you are even building these squads, is take notice and take kind of take a, what's the word? You just look at everything. Like, look at everything and see, okay, if Ekitike is kind of like the guy that I would want to get in my team, I'm going to find a replacement for Ekitike. But once I'm past Ekitike, like, who's my next striker that I'm going to be going for? Is it Isak? Is Isak the guy that I'm going to try to upgrade to? So, like, think about other people are going to be doing that as well. So if you can get into Isak early, within the first couple of days, you're going to be ahead of the game in that regard, because when more and more people are able to afford this card from getting rewards, from opening packs in the game and everything like that, then you're going to see this card continue to go up, because there'll be more people who will be able to afford them, but not as many of those Isaks being packed. So it's just a supply and a demand thing going on there. So that is just my big message to you guys today. Be careful with what you buy in the early stage of the game. And you guys know me. I'll always say this too. When it comes to starter squads and players like this, You can make a starter team, but I think what is actually more fruitful is just pay attention to what cards are out there from certain leagues. Look at some of the tweets that these guys have posted about best cards from certain leagues, or go into the database and search for cards from, a certain league. Because if you pack Lookman, you're going to be like, okay, I got to use this guy. How am I going to link him, And if you're like, oh, right away, I know of Pulisic. I can put him at the right wing position with Lookman and at least get a little bit of a link going there, start to build some Serie A links. That's going to be a good card to kind of go off of. Instead of just saying, I have to run this team, this is my starter team, just get a good lay of the land of the database, learn and see a lot of the cards so that whoever you pack in those early stages from tradable or untradeable packs, you can start to build your team in that direction instead of having to stick with a certain team and spending more coins doing that sort of thing. So that's all I wanted to discuss today related to the market. Again, early market conversations. We still have a lot to learn about the market this year, about the content this year. Speaking of content though, this is kind of like one of our first FC26 player. It's not a player, it's Boateng. It's the card design that is the leak. It's the concept. The FC26 World Tour Silver Superstar card design. This rings a bell in a couple of different areas. You hear Silver Superstar and you think back to the Silver Stars promo. Remember when people hated it at the time? It's kind of funny now that everybody is like, oh, I wish we had Silver Stars back, because this promo, when it actually came out, it was not loved. It was loved by a few and it was hated by many, because it was like, what's the point of this with these cards? They're usable for 1 week or 2 weeks in these special silver gameplay modes, and it was fun to do for a point in time, but it was like, why am I doing this when it's not helping improve my main team? So a lot of people did not like that promo when it was out, but it's being looked back upon fondly now for a nostalgia aspect. I digress. Hopefully this has something to do with tournaments. I think that's a lot of people something that a lot of people are excited for heading into 26 is the new tournaments and stuff like that. I would be one of them. If we bring back some of the silver tournaments that bring value to silver cards during different points of the year, not just for 2 weeks out of the whole entire cycle, I like that. But anyways, back to this World Tour Silver Superstar card design. First of all, that card design is sick. Some people don't like it. I love that. It kind of reminds me of like a Carnival, or I don't know, like the Fanta card design, but with some extra colors and some confetti in the background. I think that's really sick. That's a really dope card design from EA there. Interesting that it is a World Tour card, because if you remember the words World Tour, it might bring you back to those cards that we had during each of the early seasons in FC 25. Like this Alex Garcia was a Spanish World Tour card. The Adama Traore was a World Tour card in that early stage of the game. And I think all those cards were in SBCs or objectives around whatever theme of the season it was. So the fact it's a World Tour, but also a Silver Superstar, there's something going on here. This is one of our first leaks of kind of like knowledge of content inside of FC26 with a card design with that as well. That is something we're going to be watching very closely as we get into the next days of FC26 news and information. And I'm on FC25 right here to finish off the video today, just to show you guys an evolution. I've actually already completed the Evo, so it might not show for me here, but there was a new Evo dropped yesterday for our last FC26 pack reward. Guys, it is called The Club Is Yours 3. It's a free Evo. You play you do 3 different levels. You play 6 games with the player. I actually put Weston McKennie into it. I wasn't worried about his stats. I was like, just give me the FC26 pack. So I put this card into that evolution and get that in 6 games. And that's how it works. So make sure you get that Evo done. It gives you an 83x3. I believe they didn't actually say in the evolution what it gives you, but it's spelled out right here. The Club Is Yours 3 evolution offers an 83x3 pack and a 5-match lone icon pick for FC26. So that is that there. That's all of the FC26 packs. I'm even surprised that we had one this week dropped yesterday. I thought it was all over and done with last week, but that was not the case. There was even still a little bit more. I do believe that this footage re-release is what's going to be out in packs for the last couple of weeks of FC25. They did not put the Road to the Final cards back into packs. They did release a new campaign pick SBC yesterday. They did release a couple more SBCs, namely the Cruyff and a dynamic image Thomas Muller. I mean, we're noticing this, EA. It's the little things here, but Thomas Muller is a transfer card with a dynamic image Maybe it's because we were joking about this on stream. He's in Vancouver. They just had to run down the road from the studio and snap a pic at him at the game. Maybe it's easier because of that. But a lot of the other transfer cards, like Ekitike, of course, Gyökeres, Julie Brand, they did not have dynamic images because, for whatever reason, EA wasn't able to get those. But they did for Thomas Muller. I find that very interesting. Anyways, guys, the FC26 hype, it's kind of like a train. It's just starting to roll, right? It's starting to move. We're picking up speed. We're picking up steam, and we're getting there. But still, it's long enough away to feel kind of annoying. But guys, we're only 11 days away, I believe. We're counting it down right now. 11 days away to the web app of FC26. Get ready, because pretty soon the web app is going to shut down as well. We talked about that in the dates video. But that's coming pretty soon as well. Anyways, I will stop yapping today, guys. Hope you have a great weekend. I know there's not a lot of football that's going on this weekend. There's some international break games, which are important for the World Cup qualifying, but it's just not quite the same as the league matches. Next weekend, league matches will decide Team of the Week 1. Put that in the back of your mind early as we look into fixtures for next weekend. It'll be extra motivation to watch those games. Okay, now I'm truly done yapping. Have a great Saturday, guys. I will see you in a video tomorrow. It's been TheFutAccountant. Catch you there. Peace out.